Having described what the respective charts mean and what dataset is suitable for the respective charts, we now start constructing our charts. Let's start with the bubble chart. This is our data of the top 5 companies at 2022 as published by Fortune. The top performing companies, we have their parameters starting with the total revenue, the profits, $1 million, and the number of employees, and also indicating whether they are state-owned or private. For now, we are going to ignore the ownership, and we construct a bubble chart that actually represents the 3 major parameters of revenue, profit, and number of employees. And this is how we shall do it. We highlight the data. We go to the Insert tab on the ribbon and go to the chart group, click the drop down, go to all charts, and then under the scatter group, we have bubble and then 3D bubble. Let's use 3D bubble, and we click OK. There are a number of things that we need to do on our chart. First of all, we are having all bubbles having the same color, and we can change that by giving different colors to different bubbles. Notice that when you come and click the bubbles, then you right click and format data series. Then under the format data series and series options, we go to our fill and line, and then as we can see that the fill is automatic, but we want to vary colors by point, so we have to check this option of vary colors by point. And we can go and change any of the charts that we need depending on what we prefer. Before we go deeper into changing the colors, one, we can see that our bubbles are not fitting very well in the chart. They are in one extreme rather than in the center. One thing that we shall go and do is we shall click on the x-axis with an intention of extending our bubbles to the left because we have a lot of space to the left of the bubbles. So what do? We click the axis, we right click and click on format axis, and then we have bounds 0 to 700,000. Instead of 0 to 700,000, we can actually put 300,000. No, before we go into that, let's first of all see how our bubble fit the data. One thing that we would want to do is we would want the USD millions to represent the size of the bubble, and then we would want the profit to be shown on the vertical axis, which is the y-axis, and then the number of employees on the x-axis, the horizontal axis, which represents the x-axis. So let's quickly click on the bubble. Right click, we go to select data. Then on the series, we click edit. And then for now, the series name, we first leave it blank. Then we come and click on the X values. X values, we said number of employees is our X values of interest, is what we want to represent on the horizontal axis. Series for Y values is profit. I need to be sure. Then size of the bubble, we click and highlight the revenue in US dollars, and we press OK. OK. Now we can see that our bubbles have changed because of realigning the respective vertical and horizontal axis. So now we probably may not even need to tamper with the axis, but let's just reduce because we see that most of our data points in terms of number, but we need to be very sure whether these are number of employees. Let's go back and check what represents our x-axis. We click select data and then go to the series edit, and our x-axis is E, which I think is okay. So, but let's now align the axis. We can see that the employees, the lowest is more than 250,000 and the highest is less than 2.7 million. So we can come and put the minimum and maximum numbers for our axis to be that. So we format axis, we right click on the axis, format axis, and then for bounds, we put the minimum, instead of 0, we put it at 250,000, and then our maximum, we put it at 2.65. Now, the next thing we are going to do is to put the data labels. As we can see, our bubbles are not telling us anything in terms of which is for which company and what does it represent. So for now, we shall come and click on one single bubble, and we shall see all the bubbles highlighted. What we shall do then is to right click and go to add data labels. Now, these data labels now, we do not know what they represent. So we need to go and format the data labels. Let's click on the data labels. Immediately we do that, we shall see our chart format pane having label options open. And then we shall go to label options, and then we say that we want to, first of all, we have to indicate whether we need the Y value, or whether we need the next value, or we need the series name. For now, we can put the size of the bubble, and the size of the bubble is basically here, and then remove the X. And then we also say, let the label contain value from sales. So we click on value from sales, and we go on to highlight which value from sales. And then we come and highlight our company names: Walmart, Amazon, State Grid Corporation of China, China National Petroleum Corporation, and China Petrochemical Corporation. And we click to press OK. Now we have the names and then the revenue of each of the companies. Having achieved that, now let's tell Excel where our labels should be positioned. For the sake of these bubbles that are close to each other, we are going to put the labels on top. So we click and right click, format data series. We intend to go to data labels instead. So let's look for data labels. How do we go there? We come back, we click outside, format data labels. And then we say, let's put above. So above doesn't seem to work well. Label options, let's put to the right. Now let's lift one by one for these that are very close. We get this, the first one for China Corporation, we put it on top. The one for State Grid, we put it at the bottom. And then we can have this one also close by, and then the rest, since they are visible, we can leave them. One thing we can do is that we can come and bold the labels. We can remove the grid lines. We click on the grid lines, then we press delete. Or alternatively, we just come to chart design, add chart element, and we go to grid lines, and then we say for primary horizontal, we remove them. We can come back and also go to grid lines, and the primary vertical, we also remove them. And this is what we have as our chart. What is remaining is to now get any of these bubbles, for example, this China Petrochemical, and we go and change its fill, and we fill it with a pattern. And that pattern, we can put it color as the blue, and then we can choose this horizontal pattern. And then we can go ahead and remove the title, and then we can come and put a color. We highlight, we right click, then we say plot area. So let's go to chart options, plot area, and then we go and change the background solid, no, not border, sorry, no line for border. And then for fill, we put a solid, and then we can put any color of choice. That is for the plot area. We can also do something similar for the chart area. So we can see chart options highlighted when we highlight the chart area, and then instead of blank white, we can actually put some color. Transparency we can reduce, and then we shall have our bubble chart. We can come and highlight the axis. We go to the home tab and bold. Again, we come horizontal axis, we go to the home tab and then bold. But we can indicate what these represent by putting axes. We go to chart design, add elements, axis titles. We first put horizontal, and horizontal is employees, employee numbers, enter. We can bold that. We come and do something similar. Chart design, add chart element, chart title, axis titles, vertical, and then we come and we click in the formula bar. We have the axis title highlighted. We come in the formula bar and then we type profit brackets US dollar million, close brackets, enter, and then we come home tab and we make it bold. I think for now we have done some justice to our bubble chart. Let's unbold the data labels. But what we can do, we can give them some slight background. While they are highlighted, we go to the fill and line and we put a solid line behind them. We put some color, and this color need not be shouting, so we can reduce the transparency like this. And then we shall have our bubble chart indicating that Amazon won by virtue of being at the highest vertical point, then it has the highest profit, followed by Walmart, followed by China National Petroleum. But whereas we are not able to tell the relative size of the bubble because the bubbles are almost of the same size, but we can see that the biggest is Walmart, which has a revenue of $572 million, and then followed by Amazon based on the size of the bubbles. And then number of employees, Walmart is the highest because the bubble is the farthest to the right, and China Petrochemical Corporation has the lowest number of employees among the top 5 companies. So that's how we can be able to use the bubble chart to give us a 3-dimensional view of the performance of different categories, companies, or sections of a company.